One thing I wanted to talk about today is identity, which is the first topic. I saw on your website that you write very clearly your ETH address is your digital identity.
It is.
What does that mean?
It's your full identity. So we're building Mazury with this vision that we have a new way of authenticating yourself on the internet. Our lives on the internet, right now are very scattered between different places, and usually they're very much owned by one single, identity provider, whether that is Facebook, Google, Amazon, or any centralized or Web2 provider like that. And with Ethereum or any blockchain wallets, we have now this opportunity to authenticate yourself only, by a fact that you know your private key, you know your mathematical formula for authenticating yourself. It's very nicely abstracted in the UX, and you can use this one login across all other websites. And then you have parts of this with blockchains, with data immutability, or with open APIs.
Right.
I would love to talk about in a moment as well. But yeah, in general, I'm really excited about this. This new perception where one application that is only owned by you, like MetaMask or whatever, is the source of all the stuff that you want to do on the internet.
But what does it mean in terms of identity itself? Because right now, we think identity is your name, what you do, who you are, and all the things about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Now, with Web3 credentials, with Web3 in general, you're saying that you have a centralized point of entry for how you interact with the digital world that basically says everything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your sort of identity. So basically, the blockchain allows you to retrieve all this information about yourself, and it's your point of access. But you can have multiple wallets. You can have multiple points of access. Does that make, what does it change in terms of definition to identity?
Yeah, so we can start with the definition of identity. There are some definitions that you also mentioned the preparation for this. As a history and track of what you did. Right. Your experiences and your features. But yes, you explore internet in different contexts. You are a professional self, you go on LinkedIn, Twitter. You're a professional human being that just wants to share your insights about what you do. But also you can game. Probably you don't game at your legal name. You have your own username that you're not gonna even say on this podcast right now, because you want that to be in private and etc. And yeah, you can have your shit posting identities, etc. There's always different contexts. And what's fun thing that Web3 authentication allows us to do is that you can actually now have these multiple identities in places that you want them to be separated, but at the same time, you can reuse any single one of them between different places. And that's
okay.
If we compare that to how logins and identities on the internet work right now, I would say it's mostly you have, for convenience sake, you probably have you log in everywhere with your Google login. Everything depends on the Google on this Google provider, or on this Google as a login provider. Once they ban you, you're banned everywhere, which is a problem. It kind of is, movable between websites, but at the same time, just because in Google, you probably use your legal name. There's a lot of personal identifiable data. And these websites can't really talk to each other because there's some privacy breaches. There's some
Is it in their best interest, or do you think they're just trying to seclude themselves?
No, it's even legal interest.
They can't.
Yeah, essentially, I cannot retrieve data from any data from Google about you because you have your privacy rights, like
Fair enough.
especially in Europe. Like you don't want some bad actors to get to know everything about Michelangelo, but you may want have your, let's say, gaming achievements from one website to be immediately reusable somewhere else. So like you want to flex your League of Legends scores. Like let's start with the playful examples. Like you want to like flex your League of Legends scores in Reddit somewhere, like when you where you like comment on stuff, or like you want them to be visible on Twitch because it's like allows for like just like more seamless integration.
I like that. What kind of do you think it will be super verticalized? So the type of identity that I have is like depending on the specific vertical in which you're doing, or do you think we'll have also a macro identity that collates all of your little pieces of information? Because it's like, yeah, cool, you can see my League of Legends score, you can see my game's achievements and everything, but maybe I also want to insert a little bit of info about myself. Is that otherwise
it's already very verticalized, and as I mentioned, like you can have your gaming identity, you can have your professional identity, you can have like whatever identity you want to create. In this paradigm, creating a new identity is as simple as just like generating a new pair of public and a private key, and like using it with your wallet, and you can spin up a new totally anonymous identity that you will use for different purposes, and you visit different websites, you will visit different stuff. It will be totally disconnected from your gaming identity or like from your previous identities. But at the same time, now within this new spectrum, like all the apps that you are using can talk to each other and like can display your past achievements, your past interactions, your past social graphs, etc. So I believe.
And do you think we'll ever come back and sort of get to a central, like, are we ever going to have a central piece of identity that is like bounded to you, whether it's government enforced, hopefully fuck not, or whether it's something else? Is there going to be like a void?
So we have that by default, right? You have like, let's not even like talk about like Web3 etc. right now. It's just like you have your government issued identity. I refer to that as like your legal name, and some your legal identity. When I was like buying you the birthday gift, I had to show my my ID in the shop, and we have that. You are born with the government identity already, and the question is like whether like, and right now how the internet was working since the beginning, and how it's still going towards where it's still going towards is that you are using your government-based identity on the internet. Like you create your Facebook account, you create your LinkedIn account, and you're using your legal name there. And I think it's gonna like it's gonna evolve in the next 10 years. We'll see whether like legal identity will blend into Web3 world. I personally hope not really, and like we'll be able to like move anonymously. We will be able to use zero knowledge proofs to like prove legal data wherever necessary, and like we can also jump into that in a moment. But in general, I hope that's not gonna be the case.
So you hope that we're going to be able to choose what identity means to each one of us, so that we're free to decide my identity is only these pieces of information. It's not that.
If we get it right, this is how it's going to evolve. One of the risks is that developers and entrepreneurs just like me will get this shit wrong. And it is, connectable to your legal identity.
All right, let's dive into that.